It is Thursday, September 19th, and it's the ITS report. I know it's been a few days. I was late to work one day and I had to make up some time. But there's been a lot in the news lately. We had the DC shooting earlier this week. We've had more news on Syria. We've had all sorts of stuff going on. The main thing I wanted to talk about today was this reports coming out that the federal government is slated to shut down in October unless a budget can be reached. For the most part, this isn't a huge deal to most Americans. Our government is always on the verge of shutting down because, well, they suck at money. But with the world events going on, such as Greece continuing to fall apart, the Eurozone continuing to stagnate, and Syria and Russia and all of these things going on, we might want to pay a little more attention this time to the fact that the federal government is on the verge of shutting down unless a budgetary agreement can be reached. I'm not saying that a budgetary agreement should be reached or that the government shouldn't shut down. I'm an anarchist. I think it shouldn't be there. But it is something we may want to prepare for. If the federal government were to truly shut down, which I don't think it would, then there would be, last I checked the numbers, 4 million people out of a job. And these people would instantly be on the unemployment rolls. Unemployment would be in more trouble than it already is, etc., etc. But on top of that, if the federal government shuts down, then our ability to travel worldwide will also be inhibited. I could see it being used as a reason to accelerate the police state for a president, not necessarily Barack Obama, but any president, to dissolve the Congress due to its ineffectiveness. If I remember my history correctly, this was used at least a couple of times in Rome, and I believe Hitler dissolved the German parliament based on its ineffectiveness. I could be wrong on that one, and if I am, someone will let me know. But with all of this going down, we should begin to prepare. And that doesn't mean, becoming a hardcore crazy survivalist. It means being ready to act within your community and with your community to lessen the blow to yourselves. Making sure you have food stored up, making sure you have the ability to grow food or you have access to a greenhouse, making sure that even if the currency takes a dive due to a federal shutdown, it's not going to affect you and your family very much because you have alternative currencies in place, whether it's another fiat currency like the euro which I don't recommend, or Bitcoin, or hard currencies like gold or silver or copper. Any of the precious or semi-precious metals, things you can trade and barter with. Liquor is always a popular barter item. Everybody likes booze. And taking the time now, before things get too bad, to learn skills that you'll be able to use, such as home brewing, aquaponics, basic construction, things you'll be able to trade your labor for someone else's services or goods. There's actually been reading a book called Men Against the State by James J. Martin. It was published in 1954, but it's a scholarly study of individualist anarchists, including Josiah Warren, Pierre Proudhon, etc., etc. Josiah Warren didn't consider himself an anarchist, but much of his actions were in fact anarchistic. He actually opened in Cincinnati in 1860, I think, the Cincinnati Time Store. And it was an interesting concept because what he did was he sold items at cost value plus 7% to cover his expenses in running the store. But the remainder of the price was actually settled in labor notes, where you traded an equal amount of labor to him for his labor in providing the good. He actually set up 2 colonies, Utopia and Modern Times, which later became known as Brentwood, on this principle. It wasn't as successful in Modern Times as it was in Utopia, but the idea was we trade labor for labor. They eventually did expand that out to, I think it was 20 pounds of what they called Indian corn for 1 hour's labor. But setting up things like that where you have a labor note garden, there's a project on the East Coast that does something similar. You go and you work an hour, they hand you a note, and that's good for an hour's worth of food. If I find the name of the project, I'll post it in the video. So, just taking the steps to be prepared, not even just in agorist circles where you have people already trading that way, but being able to educate and provide for your community on that basis once things get to the point where that's the only way they're going to get their food. And showing that you can act and behave without the state in a manner that is both full of integrity and practical will go a long way towards ensuring that your little neck of the woods is much less violent than other areas. I don't really have much more to talk about. Eventually, when I finish this book, I'm going to do a review of the book, go over some of the concepts in the book, and hopefully someone will watch my videos and read the book, and then they'll do a review, and we'll see what comes of it. I do plan on starting to do the videos on a more consistent basis now. I've made up the time at work, so I should be able to take my full hour lunch and create these little videos. I think that's all I have. Anyway, those are my opinions. Take them or leave them. Have a good day.